Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to tonight's post-match press conference after our game against DC. We have head coach Pascal Jansen. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll get started with Scott, followed by Mark in the front.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Scott Church, Stream Punk Soccer.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, let's get right to it. Winless in 5 right now at home. What's up?
Again, sorry?
Right now, the last 5 matches at home, MLS has been winless.
Yeah, it's a tough stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your question?
How do you fix it basically before the next match next week?
Yeah, well, that's an ongoing process because, like you mentioned, it's been 5 games now. Guys are working really, really hard in order to improve our performance in general, not only the home performances, but in general. And you were there also on Wednesday. You saw a different performance. Unfortunately, that wasn't within the MLS. That's the Open Cup. So that's the tough one there. But coming off a strong game against Red Bull, we expected more from today. The thing is, we get ourselves into trouble with this throw-in, and we've warned each other for a zillion times in order to try and avoid the set piece in the first place. But once it does happen, that you defend these moments with your life, and that's how we concede the first goal, because we allow ourselves to get beaten in the box, and it's an easy tap-in. So from that moment on, you're chasing, and then you see that the freshness, the sharpness in the attack is not really there as it was on Wednesday. And unfortunately, we concede another one, a similar situation with a throw-in again, which for me is a very, very hard one to understand what even happened, because whatever he saw, I don't think it was worth a pen, but that puts you even back more, and it becomes even more difficult. But it is what it is, Scott, and we're going to get through this and make sure that we improve again.
We're going with Mark, followed by Jonathan.
Hey, Coach. Mark Riding with the New York Soccer Journal. Kind of just building off of that. You haven't picked up a win in the league since the middle of March, and this is kind of the first stretch in your short New York City career thus far where you've encountered a run of form like this. Kind of just how do you go about going into the locker room and making sure that the guys are still focused on the task at hand, and knowing that there's only one home game before the World Cup break coming up, and knowing that results, if you don't really lock in, they can continue to slip down?
Well, that has to be seen. We don't have a glass bowl, so we can't predict the future. We can only make sure that we focus on improvement like we've always done. That's been the case in 25. That will be the case as long as I'm in charge in 26 and further on. But focus on improvement, but making sure also that we call each other out, because I can guarantee you it's not a nice atmosphere in the dressing room at the moment. People are not happy in the building as well. We consider us to be a winning organization, a winning team. Based on my experience from 25, we were heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, like it happens in life very often, it doesn't go all the way like this. Sometimes you have plateau, and sometimes you'll have a less run of games. But the focus remains to be successful, and but calling each other out as well, and making sure that we keep each other and hold each other accountable is part of that process.
Jonathan, followed by Angel.
Hey, Pascal, Jonathan Mack in New York. Could you kind of talk about Malachi Jones' performance today? He didn't really know he was going to start the game until I think about 20 minutes before kickoff. He made a couple good runs, found a couple good spots in the attack as well. Could you kind of just talk us through his performance, and also maybe why you picked him over Hannes Wolf to start as well?
No, that's not so difficult. It surprises me when you asking your question or saying your question that he was surprised. You can never be surprised. If you're part of the roster, you know there is a moment that you might be called in order to play, either from the start or during a sub during the game. Talles was about to start. He was the starting player today. Unfortunately, he had some calf trouble during the warm-up, so he couldn't play. So obviously we have to make a sub then, because otherwise we lose a sub moment in the game. And Malachi played 45, and he's on the Wednesday, and he's in the process of becoming more robust, closer to the 90 minutes. And he fits the profile, in our opinion, to play that left wing position perfectly. But we have to give him some time as well. And like you mentioned, I'm also happy with a couple of moments in this game again, as he showed good things also on Wednesday. The thing with Hannes is also an easy one because Hannes is just back on the roster. He was in training for only a day and a half and suffered some hip issues earlier last week even. That's why he missed the game as well against Montreal, so it's not that difficult.
If I can follow up, could you kind of talk about what Malachi Jones needs to do more to get start starting more and also getting more minutes off the bench as well for your team?
That's what I explained to you just now. He's within the process of getting himself to robustness into 90 minutes. But when you play Open Cup, apart from Westchester that is, but if you play Open Cup against strong sides like Red Bull or future game against Columbus and the MLS, you have to be very creative, like we are with Pepe as well, coming back from a long-term injury, making sure that you use your creative solutions to give these guys playtime, because they have to get ready to compete at first team level again. And but the team comes first always. So once you're ready to compete for first team spots, that happens throughout the week in training. And you guys know as well as I do that the last couple of weeks have been very tough to train at all because of the schedule. But the creative part remains the same. Okay.
Angel in the back, followed by JR.
Good afternoon, Coach. This is Uncle Reggie for La Mesa. I wanted to ask you, the teams really improved on Wednesday after the win, especially on offense. But today, more than 70% of possession, but just 4 shots on goal.
Yeah.
You think the creativity has been a little trouble on the team?
Yeah, like I said just now, because we have one defensive error, we're in a chasing position in the first half. But normally, when everybody is fresh and sharp enough and has good quality in their games, we should be able to create much more than we did today. I completely agree with you, and the numbers show it as well. So the attacking side of the game was simply not good enough today. But it's also credits to DC, because when you have so many people behind the ball and closing the spaces all the time and playing as direct as they play, it takes a lot of energy also to make sure you control that type of play and then go forward again. But we weren't good enough in possession today, and in attack the same. So that's why you don't get yourself on the scoreboard, unfortunately.
JR?
Hey Coach, JR DeBark, Blue City Radio. 36-minute Andres Perea comes in for Aiden O'Neill.
Yeah.
Can you give us an update on Aiden's status and what his injury might have been?
Yeah, he has an ankle issue, but he plays with some issues in his ankle all the time. He doesn't know any better, in fact. So that is something that we're aware of. But he had a moment in the game, just I think it was 5-6 minutes before we took him off. He had a moment in midfield where he tried to turn. And Aiden is a player that plays on the half turn always, either left or right, it doesn't matter. But his ankle just locked and had too much pain to continue. He tried it for a couple of minutes, and I know for a fact that Ado is not a guy that just steps out unnecessary. So he couldn't continue, and then it's Pepe in the creative part that I tried to explain just now, getting his minutes in midfield.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.